Part 1. At exactly 9:47 p.m., Marcus Hale tightened the laces of his worn boots and stepped out into the cold. The street light flickered overhead, humming like it was as tired as he felt. Behind him, the small apartment was quiet except for the soft breathing of his daughter, Ava, asleep on the couch beneath a patched quilt. Marcus paused at the door longer than usual. He always did on nights like this. Ava was 7, too young to understand why her dad worked when everyone else slept, too old not to notice that he was always tired. He brushed a curl off her forehead and whispered, "I'll be back before you wake up, okay?" She stirred but didn't wake. Marcus locked the door and headed down the stairs. The night job no one wanted waited for him. 3 weeks earlier, Marcus had been laid off from his warehouse position after budget cuts. No warning. No severance. Just a handshake and a sympathetic look that didn't pay rent. He applied everywhere, construction, delivery, janitorial shifts, but when employers heard single dad with limited availability, doors quietly closed. Until one didn't. The job posting was vague, overnight cleanup. Private property. Discretion required. The pay was almost suspiciously high. The address led him to the edge of the city, where old factories met gated estates. The property was massive iron gates, security cameras, a long driveway lined with silent trees. A guard checked his ID, scanned it twice, and waved him through without a word. Marcus was handed gloves, a heavy-duty trash cart, and a single instruction from a supervisor who never gave his name. Whatever you see, you didn't see. Whatever you find, you log it. You don't touch anything that isn't trash. Clear? Marcus nodded. Yes, sir. The building itself was dark, too dark for something this expensive. Only emergency lights glowed faintly. Inside, the place looked like a storm had passed through. Shattered glass. Overturned furniture. Paper everywhere. It didn't look like a party aftermath. It looked like a breakdown. Marcus swallowed and got to work. He moved methodically, quietly, like he always did. Years of raising Ava alone had taught him discipline. You didn't panic. You handled what was in front of you. As he cleaned, he noticed details others might ignore. A cracked photo frame face down near the stairs. A wine glass smashed against a wall, untouched by the cleanup crew before him. And near the study, a small object lying half-hidden under a desk. Marcus knelt and picked it up carefully. A child's bracelet. Pink beads. Cheap plastic. The kind you get from a school fundraiser. He frowned. This didn't belong here. He logged it exactly as instructed, placed it in a labeled bag, and continued. Hours passed. Near dawn, Marcus entered the master bedroom. The bed was untouched, perfectly made like no one had slept there. On the nightstand sat a framed photo of a man and a little girl, smiling awkwardly at the camera. The man looked familiar. Marcus froze. It was on the news all the time. Billionaire tech magnate Julian Cross. Marcus exhaled slowly. So this was his house. The man who had everything. And apparently, something broken enough to tear his own place apart. Marcus finished his shift just as the sky lightened. The supervisor returned, took the logs without comment, and handed Marcus an envelope. Same time tonight, he said. Marcus nodded and left. He didn't tell Ava where he worked. Just that he cleaned buildings at night. She didn't ask many questions, she never did. That morning, Marcus made pancakes from the last of the mix. Ava ate quietly, then looked up at him. "You look sad, Daddy." Marcus smiled. "Just tired." She reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "It's okay. I'm proud of you." His throat tightened. At 8:12 a.m., there was a knock at the door. Marcus frowned. No one ever came by this early. He opened it. Two men in tailored suits stood in the hallway. Behind them, a black car idled outside. One stepped forward. "Marcus Hale." "Yes? We'd like you to come with us." Marcus' heart slammed. "Is this about?" A third figure stepped into view. Tall, calm, eyes sharp but tired. Julian Cross, the billionaire, standing at Marcus' door. "I'm not here to cause trouble," Julian said quietly. "I'm here to thank you." Marcus stared, stunned. "For what?" he asked. Julian's gaze drifted past him into the apartment, to where Ava stood frozen in the hallway, clutching her stuffed bear. "For doing the job no one else would," Julian said. "And for something you didn't even realize you did." Marcus' mind raced. "I need to speak with you," Julian continued. "Privately. And then, if you allow it, I'd like to speak to your daughter." Marcus hesitated. Every instinct screamed danger. But something in Julian's voice wasn't power. It was urgency. And fear. Marcus nodded slowly. "You can come in." And just like that, the night job no one wanted followed him into the daylight, bringing with it questions Marcus never imagined asking, and a future he never imagined facing. Part 2. Julian Cross sat on Marcus' couch like a man unsure where to put his hands. The apartment was small, too small for bodyguards, too small for secrets. The two men in suits waited outside. Ava peeked from behind the hallway corner. Julian noticed immediately. "Hello," he said gently. "You must be Ava." She nodded but didn't step closer. Marcus stayed between them. "You said you wanted to thank me." Julian nodded. "I do. But first, I need to explain something." He took a breath. "Last night was the anniversary of my wife's death." The words landed heavy. "She died 3 years ago," Julian continued. "Car accident. I was on a business call when it happened. I didn't make it to the hospital in time." Marcus said nothing. "My daughter was with her," Julian said. "She survived. But she hasn't spoken since." Marcus' chest tightened. "The house you cleaned." "I broke it," Julian admitted. "I thought destroying everything might quiet the noise in my head." Ava stepped closer without realizing it. Julian's eyes softened when he saw her. "During the cleanup, something went missing," Julian said. "Something priceless." Marcus stiffened. "I logged everything I found." "I know," Julian said quickly. "That's why I'm here." He pulled a small evidence bag from his coat. Inside was the pink bracelet. "My daughter made that the week before the accident," Julian said. "She hasn't let it out of her sight since." Marcus' breath caught. "I found it under a desk." Julian nodded. "If you hadn't logged it properly, if you'd assumed it was trash, I never would have seen it again." Silence filled the room. Then Ava spoke. "She made it herself?" Ava asked softly. Julian looked at her. "Yes." Ava walked closer. "I make bracelets too." She held up her wrist, plastic beads, mismatched colors. Julian swallowed hard. "My daughter, she stopped speaking after that night," he said quietly. "Doctors say it's trauma." But when she saw the bracelet this morning, she cried. For the first time in 3 years. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. That's why I'm here, Julian said. Because you treated something meaningless to you like it mattered. Marcus shook his head. It wasn't meaningless. Julian looked at him sharply. I saw how you logged items, Julian continued. Detailed. Careful. Like you respected a stranger's life. Marcus shrugged. Someone's mess is still their life. Julian let out a shaky breath. I want to offer you a job, he said. A real one. Facilities oversight. Day hours. Full benefits. Marcus' heart raced. I don't want charity. Julian nodded. Then don't take charity. Take responsibility. Take work that matters. Marcus hesitated. Ava tugged his sleeve. Daddy, you could be home at night. That did it. Marcus nodded. I'll try. Months passed. Marcus learned the systems of buildings worth more than his entire neighborhood. Julian learned how to sit on the floor and help Ava string beads. Slowly, carefully, Julian's daughter Lena began to speak again. First whispers. Then words. Then laughter. One morning, Julian stood beside Marcus at a school fundraiser, both men awkwardly holding paper cups of coffee. You didn't just take a night job no one wanted, Julian said. You showed up when no one else cared. Marcus smiled faintly. You knocked on my door when you didn't have to. Julian nodded. We both did something right. That night, Marcus tucked Ava into bed, something he hadn't done at that hour in months. She smiled sleepily. Daddy? Yes? I like mornings better now. Marcus kissed her forehead. So did he. Because sometimes, the job no one wants isn't punishment. Sometimes, it's the doorway to being seen. And sometimes, by morning, the world finally knocks back.